The galaxy remembered many wars, but none began with silence like this one. It started as a whisper, a shadow moving between the stars. Merchant convoys reported ships vanishing without a trace. Outposts sent distress calls, only to fall silent moments later. The Galactic Council dismissed the reports at first, believing it was just pirates. But then, entire fleets went missing. No wreckage. No survivors. Just silence. At the council chamber, thousands of alien delegates argued in panic. The most powerful empires accused each other of treachery. The weaker ones begged for help. But amid all the shouting, one name returned again and again, spoken with unease. Humans. It had been centuries since anyone had seen them. The species had once stood at the edge of the galactic stage, unpredictable, restless, and terrifying in their determination. Then they had vanished, retreating to their homeworld, sealing their borders. Some claimed they had destroyed themselves in endless wars. Others believed they had simply grown tired of the galaxy. Whatever the truth, no one had dared disturb them. Now, the disappearances carried their mark. A Zorathian scout captain told his story, trembling as he spoke. His fleet had been tracking the unknown attackers when something cut through the dark, something vast. A single warship, black as the void, moving with impossible speed. It bore the insignia of Earth, he whispered to the council. The old human war crest. And with a single strike, my fleet of 30 ships was gone. No warning. No chance. The chamber fell into chaos. Fear spread like wildfire. Some believed it was impossible. Humanity could not have returned. Others remembered the stories, their brutal wars, their refusal to surrender, their ability to fight long after reason said they should be defeated. The council demanded an investigation. Fleets were dispatched to the edge of human space, where the silent zones grew wider every day. What they found was worse than any nightmare. Dead planets. Burned stations. Fleets reduced to drifting husks. And carved into the wreckage, a message written in jagged human script. We remember. The words chilled every species that read them. The humans had not just returned. They had come for vengeance. But vengeance for what? The archives held fragments of history. Long ago, when humanity first reached the stars, they were met with suspicion. They fought in the resource wars, clashed with empires who tried to enslave them, and resisted when the council ordered them to disarm. It had ended in blood. Humanity had been cornered, forced to retreat back to their blue world. The galaxy had thought them broken. Now it seemed they had spent centuries preparing. When the first confirmed human fleet appeared, it was not the ragged militia the council remembered. It was something new. Armadas of steel leviathans, armed with weapons no one could understand. They moved with brutal precision, cutting down any who stood in their way. The first great test came at the Battle of Charon's Belt. The council had gathered 5,000 warships from across the galaxy, the largest fleet in recorded history, to stop the human advance. The humans arrived with only 100 ships. The council laughed. They believed it would be an easy victory. But within minutes, the laughter turned to horror. The humans did not fight like anyone else. They targeted command ships first, breaking the fleet's coordination. They used weapons that bent light, tore through shields, and split carriers in half with a single strike. The council's mighty armada collapsed in less than an hour. Survivors spoke of fire that burned in the vacuum, of machines that screamed as they hunted. And when it was over, the human fleet broadcast only 3 words across the stars. We are back. Across the galaxy, terror spread. Worlds fortified themselves, empires retreated, and whispers filled every marketplace and war council. No one understood why the humans had returned, only that their rage was unstoppable. Some believed the humans sought revenge for ancient crimes. Others claimed they were reclaiming the galaxy for themselves. Whatever the truth, one fact was undeniable. The day humanity went to war, the galaxy trembled. And even now, with the first battles only beginning, everyone understood one terrible truth. This was not a war that would end quickly. It was the beginning of something far greater. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The survivors of Charon's Belt could not forget what they saw. Veterans who had faced dozens of wars spoke with shaking voices. Admirals who once commanded respect could not meet the eyes of their soldiers. 100 human ships had destroyed 5,000 of the galaxy's finest. But the strangest part was not their weapons. It was their silence. After the battle, the human fleet did not broadcast demands. They did not claim territory. They did not open communication channels. They simply vanished back into the dark, leaving behind drifting wreckage and terrified survivors. For the Council, this silence was worse than any threat. "What do they want?" delegates cried. "Why have they returned?" No one had an answer. On the capital world of Athras Prime, where the Council chamber stood, panic filled the air. Security drones struggled to keep the delegates under control as they screamed across the hall. Some demanded negotiations. Others demanded extermination. But one voice cut through the chaos. Eldam Varen, a reptilian scholar older than most empires, spoke in a low, heavy tone. "You do not understand humanity," he warned. "They do not fight for profit. They do not fight for sport. When they fight, it is because they believe it is necessary. If they have returned, then something has awakened a memory they never forgot." The chamber fell silent. Varen's words carried weight. He had lived long enough to remember humanity's rise. He remembered the wars they fought against impossible odds, and how they refused to bow even when entire fleets pressed against them. But even he could not answer the question that haunted them all. What did humanity remember? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Weeks later, a hidden archive was breached. An automated human signal pulsed across abandoned systems, repeating an old recording. The Council intercepted it, and what they saw froze every bloodline in the chamber. The message showed burning cities. Human cities. Alien warships filling the skies above Earth. The recording was centuries old, but the screams, the fire, and the devastation were clear. The galaxy had forgotten. But humanity had not. The Council's betrayal had been buried by history, rewritten in the archives as a necessary intervention. They had tried to crush Earth before it grew too powerful, fearing humanity's potential. Billions had died. Entire continents had burned. The humans had retreated, wounded but not broken. And now, centuries later, they had returned to finish what had been started. When the message ended, the humans broadcast one more phrase to every system near Council space. "You came to our world. Now we come to yours." Fear swept across the stars. Civilizations began preparing evacuation plans. Empires withdrew their fleets from distant borders to protect their core worlds. Even the mighty Kravath Dominion, once arrogant and untouchable, sealed its wormhole gates in panic. Yet some refused to surrender. The Shalari Empire, proud and powerful, swore to stand against the humans. Their emperor declared that Shalari steel would break the myth of humanity once and for all. A massive fleet of 2,000 ships assembled near the twin stars of Vera, waiting for the humans to arrive. But when the humans came, they did not bring 2,000 ships. They brought only 10. The Shalari laughed when they saw the numbers. 10 against 2,000. They believed the humans had made their first mistake. And then the battle began. The human ships moved like predators, weaving through fire as if the laws of physics bent around them. Weapons no one had ever seen before screamed across the void. Shalari dreadnoughts, built over centuries, were torn apart in minutes. Their capital ship, the Emperor's Glory, split in two after a single strike from a weapon that burned brighter than a sun. Survivors spoke of drones, machines shaped like hunters, that swarmed across their ships, tearing through hulls and boarding crews with terrifying efficiency. No surrender was accepted. No escape was allowed. 2,000 ships reduced to ashes. 10 human warships remained untouched. The galaxy trembled again. But this time, something new appeared. From the wreckage of the Shalari fleet, human ships did not simply vanish. They stayed. They transmitted a new message, one that could not be ignored. This is only the beginning. Every empire that raised a hand against us will fall. You tried to erase us. Now we will erase your memory of victory. The Council realized a truth too late. This was not just war. It was retribution. And the humans would not stop until the galaxy understood the price of betrayal. The destruction of the Shalari fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. 2,000 ships erased by only 10 human warships. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Every empire had believed the Shalari would be the wall that stopped humanity. Instead, the wall had fallen in less than an hour. Now fear turned into something worse, despair. The council tried to remain strong. They held emergency sessions every day, but the chamber was filled with screaming, accusations, and panic. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others demanded a combined strike before the humans grew even stronger. But Eldam Varen once again gave a warning no one wanted to hear. "You still do not understand," he said. "Humans do not fight wars like us. They do not strike for territory. They do not seek wealth. When they fight, it is for survival and vengeance. They will not stop until the lesson is complete." The lesson. The words echoed in the minds of every delegate. Meanwhile, on the frontiers, humanity's plan began to show itself. Their fleets appeared without warning, striking fortified outposts, burning shipyards, and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. But they never took worlds. They never tried to occupy. Instead, they left behind destruction, and a single message burned into the ruins. "Do you remember now?" The meaning was clear. Humanity was not just fighting battles, they were making the galaxy relive its crimes. One empire after another began to break. The Dravari Syndicate collapsed when their capital shipyard was destroyed in a single night. The Kravath Dominion sealed its borders and refused to send aid. Even the mighty Torvans, whose fleets had dominated the southern spiral for millennia, lost 3 of their core colonies before retreating into silence. But still, no one had seen the full strength of humanity. The fleets that appeared, 10 ships here, 20 ships there, were too small to represent a species that had prepared for centuries. Whispers spread that these were only scouts, testing the galaxy's defenses. If that was true, then the real human armada had not yet moved. And then came the event that proved the whispers true. The Council sent a desperate fleet of 1,000 ships to defend the Forge of Yilran, a massive industrial station that produced weapons for half the galaxy. It was considered impenetrable, protected by planetary shields, minefields, and 3 fortified moons. When humanity came, they did not send ships at all. Instead, a single object drifted into the system. It looked like an asteroid, dark and silent. The defenders almost ignored it, until it lit up. The asteroid unfolded like a blooming flower, revealing a colossal machine unlike anything ever seen. It pulsed with strange energy, and before anyone could react, the machine fired. A beam of light, brighter than a sun, tore through the Forge of Yilran. The station, the moons, the fleet, everything was consumed in an instant. 1,000 ships, gone in a single strike. No survivors. No wreckage. Only silence. And then, across the system, a message appeared on every screen, written in human script. "This is how you burned our world." The galaxy fell into shock. The humans had not only rebuilt warships, they had created weapons that no one could imagine. Weapons that could unmake entire systems with a single shot. In every empire, fear turned into whispers of surrender. But surrender to whom? The humans offered no terms. They made no demands. They spoke only of memory, vengeance, and justice. On Atheris Prime, chaos consumed the council. Some argued to open communication, to beg for peace. Others shouted that peace was impossible. And then, for the first time, a human transmission reached the council chamber directly. A figure appeared on the central display. A human. Their face was hidden by a dark helmet, their voice cold and heavy. "You thought time would bury your crimes. You thought we would forget. You came to Earth with fire. You left us in ashes. But we endured. We rebuilt. And now, we bring the ashes back to you." The chamber fell silent. No one dared speak. The human leaned closer, their voice cutting through the hall like a blade. "This is not conquest. This is judgment. And when judgment is done, the galaxy will remember humanity, not as victims, but as the fire you could not extinguish." The message ended. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized a terrifying truth. The humans had not returned for power. They had not returned for glory. They had returned to make the galaxy tremble forever. The galaxy had seen human warships carve through fleets. It had seen their colossal machine destroy the Forge of Yilran in a single strike. But no one believed they would dare go further, not to the homeworlds. They were wrong. The first target was Zorath, capital of the Zorathian clans. A planet ringed with defensive satellites, shield towers, and a fleet of 600 ships. For centuries, the Zorathians had prided themselves on being untouchable. They had survived invasions, rebellions, and centuries of blood feuds. But when the humans came, the defenses of Zorath lasted only 15 minutes. The attack began without warning. Dozens of human warships emerged from hidden jump points, surrounding the planet in a perfect net. Before the Zorathians could even react, their shields collapsed under a rain of strange weapons that bent space itself. Satellites crumbled, fleets split apart, and shield towers melted into glowing rivers of metal. The humans did not land. They did not attempt to conquer. Instead, they unleashed fire across the surface, targeting the great Zorathian monuments, the council halls, and the very same military academies that had once trained commanders who fought against Earth. Billions watched helplessly as their proud capital burned. And when it was over, humanity left behind a message carved into the smoking ruins. Now you know how it feels. The council went into chaos. Every empire saw the message and knew what it meant. Humanity was not after their fleets, not after their resources, they were after their hearts. They wanted the galaxy to feel the terror they had once felt, to watch their homes crumble the way Earth once had. The next strike came against the Torvan Dominion. Their jewel world, Shalara Prime, was surrounded by 3 planetary rings and guarded by weapons platforms older than most empires. The Torvans believed their home could not be touched. But when the humans arrived, they unleashed something new, machines shaped like living storms. Drones swarmed across the rings, tearing apart stations piece by piece, while human warships targeted the planet's oceans, boiling seas, and sending walls of steam across entire continents. The Torvans screamed as their paradise world turned into a furnace. When the survivors begged for surrender, the humans gave no reply. The drones simply carved a single phrase across the surface of the planet, visible from orbit. "We remember Earth." The galaxy watched in horror. Every empire that had once marched on Earth now feared the humans would come for them next. On Atheris Prime, the council chamber was drowning in fear. Entire delegations had abandoned their seats, fleeing back to their homeworlds. The remaining leaders shouted for action, but no one agreed. Some wanted to offer Earth reparations. Others demanded a full retreat of all fleets into their core systems. But Eldam Varen, silent until now, spoke again. His voice was low, almost broken. "You do not understand. This is not about reparations. It is not about surrender. Humanity does not want peace. Humanity wants us to suffer as they once suffered. They want us to carry their scars. And until they decide the punishment is complete, nothing will stop them." His words fell like a shadow over the chamber. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Shalara Prime, a desperate broadcast was intercepted. A Torvan commander, one of the few survivors, screamed into the void. "They are not an empire. They are not conquerors. They are wrath made flesh. We fought a species that never forgot, and now the galaxy will never forget them." Across the stars, civilizations that had once mocked humanity now spoke their name in whispers. The smallest species fled into hidden systems. The greatest empires fortified their skies. But all knew the truth, there was nowhere safe. Because the humans were not attacking at random. They were following a pattern. Every world they struck was tied to the Council's betrayal. Every system they burned had once sent fleets against Earth. The galaxy understood too late, humanity was crossing names off a list written in blood. And that list was far from finished. The Council prepared for the inevitable. The question was no longer if the humans would come for them. The question was when. And when they did, the galaxy feared the Council's great capital, Atheris Prime, would burn brighter than all the rest. The galaxy waited in silence, holding its breath. World after world had burned. Fleets had shattered. Empires had fallen into fear. And all signs pointed to one final destination, the heart of the Council itself. Atheris Prime. The capital of the galaxy had never been touched by war. For thousands of years, it had stood as the symbol of unity, a shining jewel of peace and power. Its skies were filled with defense grids. Its orbit was protected by 10,000 ships. The Council believed it was untouchable. But they had believed the same about Charon's Belt. About Shalara Prime. About Zorath. Now the delegates sat in their great chamber, staring at each other with wide, hollow eyes. The air was thick with dread. Everyone knew the humans would come. The only question was how. On the edge of the chamber, Eldam Varen sat quietly, his gaze heavy. His warnings had been ignored again and again. Now, there was nothing left to say. At last, the council's speaker rose. His voice shook as he addressed the delegates. We face an enemy unlike any we have ever known. They do not negotiate. They do not accept surrender. They do not stop. And yet, we cannot abandon Atheris Prime. If it falls, the galaxy falls. The delegates erupted into shouting. Some cried for evacuation. Others demanded one last stand. A few, trembling with desperation, whispered the unthinkable. Contact them. Beg for mercy. But even as the words were spoken, the council chamber shook. The humans had arrived. Alarms blared across Atheris Prime. Orbital sensors lit up with thousands of signals. Ships pouring out of hidden jump points, surrounding the system like wolves around prey. For the first time, the galaxy saw the true strength of humanity. It was not 10 ships. It was not 100. It was an armada stretching across the void, thousands of warships, their hulls black as night, their weapons glowing like stars. The defenders of Atheris Prime opened fire. Beams of energy, missiles, plasma storms, everything the galaxy had built over millennia was unleashed in one desperate strike. And the humans advanced through it all. Their shields bent reality, twisting enemy fire into nothing. Their weapons cut through dreadnoughts as if they were paper. Orbital platforms crumbled one after another. The defenders fought bravely, but the truth was clear. Humanity had returned not as a forgotten species, not as victims, but as something greater. Something unstoppable. From the council chamber, the delegates watched the destruction unfold on massive screens. Fleets burned. Cities shook as the first strikes hit the planet's shields. And then, a human broadcast filled the chamber. The same masked figure appeared, their voice cold and steady. Atheris Prime. The heart of your power. The world from which you ordered our destruction. Do you remember the screams of Earth? The fires you left behind? Today, you will. The figure paused, leaning closer to the screen. You built this world to show your strength. We will turn it into your greatest shame. The broadcast ended. Outside, human warships unleashed a storm. Orbital defenses exploded one by one. Enemy fleets broke formation and scattered. And when the humans finally breached the planetary shields, fire rained down upon Atheris Prime. The shining towers of the capital cracked. The grand plazas filled with smoke. The council chamber itself shook as shockwaves ripped through the city. Delegates screamed, rushing for escape pods, their cries drowned by the thunder of war. But even as fire spread across the capital, Eldam Varen did not move. He sat in silence, watching as the galaxy's might crumbled around him. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper, but those who stood near him heard. This is not war. This is memory. Humanity is making us live their past. And when they are done, there will be nothing left to forget. From orbit, human ships pulled back just enough to let the survivors see the ruins. The once great capital of the galaxy was broken, its pride reduced to ash. And then, a single human transmission echoed across every system. This is judgment. The galaxy is guilty. The ruins of Atheris Prime sent ripples of terror across the galaxy. For millennia, the capital had stood as the symbol of strength, the center of power no enemy dared to touch. Now it was broken, its towers shattered, its streets burning, its fleets destroyed. And still, the humans did not stop. Every transmission they sent was the same. Short. Cold. Final. This is judgment. The empires had no answer. Fleets that once ruled entire sectors now hid in fortified systems. Trade collapsed, communication broke down, and planets lived in constant fear that the next dawn would bring human warships. Yet even in their fear, the galaxy began to wonder, what was humanity's end goal? If they wanted revenge, they had already taken it. If they wanted conquest, they had already won it. And yet, they still moved, still struck, still spread fear deeper into the stars. On the world of Sir Len, where survivors of the Council had fled, leaders gathered in secret. Their voices were hoarse, their faces pale. We cannot survive this. They are not just destroying us, they are teaching us. Every attack is a memory of Earth's burning. Then what do they want? Do they mean to exterminate us all? Silence fell. No one dared answer. But far from their meeting halls, the humans themselves revealed the truth. At the edge of a dead system, an alien patrol stumbled upon something vast. It was not a fleet. It was not a station. It was something greater. A ring, colossal in scale, surrounding a shattered star. It pulsed with energy so strong that entire sensors shorted out. And within the ring, human ships moved like workers around a hive, feeding power into the machine. The patrol tried to approach. They were erased in seconds. But before their destruction, they sent one image. The humans were building something. Something that was not a weapon of war, at least not in the way the galaxy understood war. It was larger than any dreadnought, more complex than any fortress. Some whispered it was a world killer. Others believed it was worse. News of the discovery spread fast. Whispers filled every empire. Humanity was preparing for something far beyond vengeance. At the same time, a new broadcast echoed across the stars. The masked human appeared again, their voice sharper, heavier. You feared our rise. You tried to end us before we could grow. You thought we would forget. We did not. And now, we give you the same fear you gave us. The figure paused. Behind their mask, their eyes burned like fire. But judgment is not only for the guilty. Judgment is for the galaxy itself. The transmission ended, but the words echoed. What did it mean? Judgment for the galaxy itself? On hidden worlds, old scholars dug through archives. They found records of Earth's past wars, of how humanity fought not only their enemies but even themselves. Every time, they rose stronger. Every time, they rebuilt. And every time, they carried the lesson forward. The galaxy realized a terrible truth: humanity was not just punishing old enemies. They were reshaping the order of the stars. One species after another began to crumble. The Zorathians, their homeworld burned, swore eternal vengeance, but they no longer had the fleets to fight. The Torvans hid in their shattered colonies. The once mighty Shalari begged for mercy that never came. And still, the humans marched forward. Then, without warning, they vanished. For weeks, no human ships appeared. No attacks. No broadcasts. Only silence. The galaxy waited, trembling, fearing what would come next. And then, in the dead system where the colossal ring stood, the truth was revealed. Sensors across the stars lit up as the machine activated. Energy waves rippled through the void, bending space itself. Stars flickered. Wormholes collapsed. Entire navigation networks went dark. For the first time in galactic history, faster-than-light travel failed. The galaxy screamed in confusion. Fleets were stranded. Worlds were cut off. Trade routes collapsed overnight. And across the chaos, a single human broadcast spread everywhere at once, even to systems thought unreachable. The masked figure appeared again. You believed yourselves eternal. You believed your power untouchable. But you forgot one thing: everything can burn. You burned Earth, and now we burn your galaxy. Their voice grew colder. This is not the end of war. This is the beginning of silence. And in that silence, you will remember us. The transmission ended. The galaxy stood broken, fleets paralyzed, empires crumbling. And all across the stars, one truth became clear. The humans were no longer just fighting for vengeance. They were rewriting the galaxy itself. The galaxy had fallen silent. The great empires were broken. Their fleets stranded, their worlds cut off, their unity shattered. The humans had unleashed their machine, and faster-than-light travel collapsed across the stars. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy was small again. Every empire was trapped within its own systems, powerless to reach beyond its borders. And in that silence, humanity spoke. A transmission, carried on strange waves that ignored broken networks, reached every world. Once again, the masked human appeared. Their voice was calm, steady, but filled with an unshakable weight. You tried to erase us with fire. You failed. You thought time would bury your crimes. You were wrong. We endured. We remembered. And now, you remember too. Behind the figure, the image of Earth appeared. Not the broken world the galaxy remembered, but Earth as it was now, rebuilt, cities shining, oceans alive, forests vast and green. Humanity had risen from ashes, stronger than ever before. The masked figure continued. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. We are here to make you understand. The galaxy will never again look upon us as prey. You will never again march on our home. Because now you know, if you touch Earth, the stars themselves will burn. The words echoed across 1,000 worlds. Entire populations froze, staring at the image of Earth. They saw not a victim, but a predator. Not a broken species, but one reborn. Then the transmission shifted. It showed the ruins of Zorath, the burning seas of Shalara Prime, the shattered towers of Atheris Prime. The masked figure spoke again. You feel anger. You feel loss. You feel fear. That is what you gave us. Now, it is yours forever. Their voice grew harder. This war is over. But its memory is not. Every star, every world, every empire will carry it. The day humanity went to war will be the day you teach your children to never cross us again. The figure leaned closer, their words sharp as a blade. You will rebuild. You will rise. But you will always tremble when you hear our name. That is our judgment. That is our victory. The screen went dark. Across the galaxy, silence followed. The war had ended, but the fear remained. The machine in the dead system still pulsed, holding the galaxy's travel networks hostage. Everyone knew that at any moment, if provoked, the humans could bring it to life again. The message was clear. Humanity did not need to conquer. Their power, their memory, their fire, those alone ruled the stars. In the years that followed, whispers spread in every corner of the galaxy. Children grew up hearing the story of the war. Traders spoke in hushed voices of human fleets appearing and vanishing like shadows. Even the proudest empires bent their pride, building monuments not to themselves, but to warn their descendants. Never provoke Earth. Eldam Varen, one of the few who survived the Council's fall, lived to see it all. From the ruins of his chamber, he wrote the final record of the war. His words were etched into stone, passed across surviving worlds, and remembered for generations. The humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for memory. They fought to give us their pain, so we would never forget. And they succeeded. The galaxy will rebuild, but it will rebuild in fear. Forever we will tell the story of the day humanity went to war, and how the stars themselves trembled. And so it was. A war that had lasted only months became a shadow that stretched across centuries. Empires rose and fell. New civilizations took to the stars. But in every corner of the galaxy, in every hall of power, one memory endured. The day the humans returned. The day their wrath burned worlds. The day humanity went to war. And the galaxy still trembled.